Good morning. Today we're going to do a little something different, a little bit of a Q&A based on what you guys have been asking and all the stuff that's been happening in the vlog, and you guys are getting more and more comment happy, which I like. Thank you for that. Continue leaving comments below. Make sure thumbs up, give a thumbs up to other people's comments. I kind of see where things are getting ranked. But I want to do a little question and answer session. I heard this is a big thing on YouTube. I have not ever done a question and answer session. So here we are, sitting down in the confessional with the questions in my hand. We're gonna get to answering some. So let's dive in here. Hold on one sec. Side note, I also have been lacking in telling you guys that the specialized how-to videos that we did at Lemby Park in Folsom from the beginning of the season are now up. They will be linked down below. There's a 4-video series. Make sure you watch the first one in order. We cover off-camber, dismounting and remounting, shouldering the bike, and tackling the toughest sand sections on your favorite cross course. Link below. All right, so question number 1 from Redleg JGM. Definitely more tech talks. How about shoe choices, cleat types, tactics for picking lines in tough conditions on the muddy climbs? So for the shoes, I race in the S-Works mountain bike shoe. Ride Crank Brothers pedals. So we're running their standard float cleat. I do not use the limited or the zero float cleat. I like to have that movement. And then also, considering that you're asking about cleat types and running in muddy climbs, I'm assuming you're asking about shoe spikes. Now, I'm not a big fan of toe spikes, but I do sometimes run them when it's necessary in the mud. If it's dry, I pull them out. I see people riding with them all the time, and they are like walking in the hard pack, and it like screeches like nails on chalkboard underneath that. I hate that. I don't run them unless they're necessary. I go between the long and the ice spike from Horst. I just get them from those guys, and they support cross, so why not continuing to support cross as well? But I only use the long. I don't use short or any of those. You don't really need them. If you're running them that short, I don't feel like it's necessary to even have them in the first place. And then in a place like Hartford, use the ice or anything for some extra bite. Those are my shoe and cleat types. Tactics for running up and picking lines on technical climbs. Just look for the fastest route from point A to point B on foot. And if you're trying to ride it, pick the line that has the most amount of momentum carrying and variation, so you can just carry that flow through the line. Dropper post recommendations. I run the RockShox Reverb post. I like it. We can service it in-house. It is one of those posts that does require maintenance. A lot of folks don't like to think that bike parts require maintenance. It does have service intervals, but as long as you service it on those intervals, it'll never leave you stranded. Operates like butter. Love the thing. And we can service it right here at Kinetic. All right, Mr. Larson, let's talk training. Discuss your build-up to in-season intervals and timing as it all relates to racing at this level with travel. So training in the summertime kind of varies in different blocks. So say we're done with the end of our season from the previous year. We're rolling, getting back into riding in February, March, April. This is just ride for fun, ride as much as I want, ride as little as I want. Not riding, but just ride and have fun. This like 3-month block, I end up riding a lot of mountain bikes on long kind of mountain bike adventure. Just finding new trails and hunting and pecking around and end up riding 3-4 hours every day. And then I also do a lot of road and dirt road bike rides. I do our Sunday gravel rides here at Kinetic, but I like to ride my fat tired road bike on dirt roads and on a little bit of single track. We've got a great bunch of dirt roads and backcountry roads up in the Gold Country. So I'll just go out and ride 80, 90, 100 miles, 70, 80, 90 miles, whatever, a lot of long rides. Those rides when you get done and you're just ready for that burrito and you're just so smoked, but you had such a great time. Again, having fun. Moving into the mountain bike race season, May, June, July, we're gonna start to get a little bit more speed work in. We're using our Wednesday night Prairie City mountain bike race series as speed work, racing on the weekends as well, back to back, just getting the efforts in there. And then again, more long rides. Towards the end of that circuit, July, August, we start doing some gym work, some plyometric work, and start focusing on cyclocross specifically. And we're gonna start to work into motor pacing, a little bit shorter but faster efforts, and shrinking the overall training hours. And then moving into the actual season, once the race season starts, all focus goes on to being prepared for the race weekend. So when we're racing back to back to back, twice a weekend, sometimes 3 times a weekend, it really becomes Mondays off, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, just recover, get ready again on Friday, Saturday, Sunday for race. That week becomes very short, very fast. We generally will do once in the middle of the week training session behind the scooter, or some sort of hard intervals if we're out on the road and I don't have access to the scooter. Generally on Tuesdays, sometimes Wednesdays. Monday off, Tuesday scooter, Thursday recover, Friday again prepare for the race in pre-ride and course inspection, and then race Saturday, Sunday. Chicago Clyde asks, pre-race bike prep, gearing choices, if you ever do change chainring sizes, why, and show more ride footage. Okay, so my pre-race bike prep, generally we keep it simple. I always ride the same cassette space, so I know some guys ride different cassette gearings. I always ride the 1132 from SRAM, and I 90% of the time ride 42 chainring. Now if we go somewhere like this 2 weekends ago in Louisville, track was super heavy, super muddy, and a little bit of climbing, so we wanted to drop down to a 40 tooth. We'll make that swap, we'll ride it, and we'll say, okay, all right, I spend too much of my time in the top third of that cassette, and I want to really open up my usage of gears, so we'll drop down a size. Now, on the opposite side of that, I would say maybe like 2% of the time, I'll ride a 44 tooth chainring, and the same thing will happen. I'll find myself riding too much in the small third of the cassette, and I want to open that cassette up again, so we'll size up. But almost always a 42, and it should be based upon how much of the cassette you're using, and it all comes down to that pre-ride, and we can change and inspect from there. Tires are easy. We have a dry tire, we have a mud tire, so if it's dry and fast, we ride that. If it's kind of slippery on traction, we ride the mud tire, the Terra, and the Tracer. Dave Watson asks, do you usually train on 28s while you're on the road? So cush. Yes, my Tarmac disc has 28s on it. Love them, the Turbo 28, and I'm super fired up that they're now making a Turbo Cotton in the 28, the Hell of the North tire. That's going to be a super sick tire. If I am training on my cross bike though, if I take my wheel sets out on the road to train with me and I'm on my cross bike, I use the 30-32 Specialized Roubaix tubeless ready tire on the tubeless 303. That's the jam right there. All right, 63 Falcon HT, you know who you are. Haven't seen much talk about the UCI, the sanctioning body, or other racers. How are the points kept? How do we learn about the sport at your level for other racers, standings and such, and how high do you need to be ranked to qualify for nationals, worlds, etc.? All right, this is a bit of a deep hole of knowledge, but let's see what we can answer. There are 2 categories of weekly events. You have a C2 category and a C1. So in a C2 race, points go 10 deep and 40 points for the win, 1 point for 10th. In a C1 race, points go 15 deep, 80 points for a win, 1 point for 15th. And then twice a year we have a championship category event. So your Pan Am champs and nationals. Those points go 15 deep as well, but it's 100 for the win and 1 for, actually I wanna say let's go 10 deep. I could be wrong on that one. That one's got me a little bit off. But it's 100 points for the win on a championship event. Then you have your World Cup. World Cup points, I think it's 300 for a win, and I think points go like 20 deep or 25 deep. They might even go more than that, 30 deep, 40 deep. They're really deep. And then your World Championship event, I believe it's 600 for the win at a World Championship event. So those are different categories. In the US, we only have C2s, C1s, and championship, continental and national level events. We score points, hopefully score points as many weekends as we can throughout the year, and it's on a 12-month rolling calendar. So if I scored points, say September 1st, any points scored from September 1st of the previous year and before go away, and they're then resumed. The next weekend, say September 7th, any points that I scored that weekend the year before get erased and the new ones get added. If I don't score any and the year before I did score, I'm gonna drop on points. And then on the opposite end of that, if I didn't score any and I score points, I'm gonna move up. And if there's a difference between the 2 years, that's kind of a delta, it's gonna shift. So it's always a rolling calendar. It used to be where the UCI would refresh only after the 6 World Cup weekends. It's now every single week. Really, you see a lot more ebb and flow in starting positions on how we can do. So like this past weekend in Tulsa, we scored 40 points for a C2 win. I jumped 30 places on the UCI calendar. We're now inside of the top 100. USA Cycling picks teams for the World Cup based on the top 16 for UCI points in the United States. So yes, points have a huge effect on how we do. We only take 8 people to Worlds, so it's a much smaller team, sometimes even 7 or 6. It all has to do with our country ranking at the time. So the more that we race internationally, the more points the country scores, the higher up the country ranking, and the more guys that we can take. That's why Belgium and the Netherlands always take a full squad, because they're number 1 and 2. This is a question I get asked a lot. I did answer it, but Q Lu asks, on the 2018 Crux, what's the maximum tire width? You can fit up to a 42. 40 is really the maximum. The 42 sawtooths start to rub if you get any sort of tire dirt buildup on them or some soft wheels. It can rub the frame. So 40. If you want to run bigger tires, the Diverge runs up to 700 by 42 and 650 by 47. So that's the killer adventure bike. There's a couple of them over there. Yeah, more questions, a lot of questions on training. I will try to show more and dive deeper into different pockets of training as we go on. This is obviously a huge success. You guys are liking this. But that's gonna be, there's so many specific avenues on what I do and how it works, but I'm gonna get better at that. I'm trying to progress this into the right avenue, not just a constant me like, hey, yeah, we're out here doing this kind of thing. So hang tight for more specific training topics. Yeah, I think that's pretty solid for the our first question and answer. If you have more questions, ask below. We can maybe start doing this more, and I'll trickle in a few questions here and there in all the videos. So hopefully you guys enjoyed our first Q&A on the vlog, and hopefully got a couple of those questions out of the way. Thanks for tuning in. As always, make sure you hit subscribe, give it a thumbs up, and thumbs up other questions that you like. We can see what get rated towards the top. So until tomorrow, we will see you guys later. That's gonna be it. Over and out. Peace.